Okay, we are back to the start of our app, and I have switched to the main page of our app to be the calculator view again. Now, what I want to do is to navigate from the calculator view to the history view. For that, I'm going to wrap this calculator view in a navigation page and have the navigation bar here with a button, and when I click on the button, I will navigate to the history view. First, let's wrap this in a navigation page. That's fairly easy to do. So navigation page is a new navigation page. And the root view of our navigation page is the calculator view. Main page of our app becomes navigation. In the calculator view, I have already created this toolbar item. So text is info, and command I want to bound to is showed history command. So if I run this app, I get this button. In order to go from our calculator view to the history view, we will use a separate class for navigation, and I'm going to name this class navigation service, and it's going to implement an interface called iNavigation service. Navigation logic can reside in a views code behind or in a view model. While placing navigation logic in a view might be the simplest approach, it is not easily testable through unit tests. Placing navigation logic in view model classes means that the logic can be checked through unit tests. In addition, the view model can then implement logic to control navigation to ensure that certain business rules are enforced. For example, an app might not allow the user to navigate away from a page without first ensuring that the entered data is valid. Okay, I'm going to use the common folder to create new folder called navigation. And let's also just quickly put these dialog messages in a separate folder called dialog. I start with the interface, which I'll call iNavigation service. This interface will define actions our navigation service class should support. I will create two methods for now, one to go to the next page, next view, and one to go back. So I need a method to go to the next view. I'm going to name it push async. And this method will be generic, that is, it will take a type of the view model we wish to navigate to. So in this example, we want to pass history view model as a generic type parameter to the push async method. Let's name this parameter to view model, and also we could define one parameter that will be the data we want to pass from one view model to the next one. I also need to set an additional rule where my view model, we need to be sure that this is a view model type, and we will achieve that by adding new type of view model, base view model. So if a class is a view model, it will inherit from the base view model. For now, this class is going to inherit from bindable object. And this base view model will have one method for initializing the state of view model. So in this method, we are going to take the parameter that was passed to this view model, and then we will initialize state of our view model. So task initialize async. With object parameter. This is public virtual task. In the view model, we will return task.completed task. And we will make sure that no one can actually create a new instance of this class. So our history will inherit from base view model. Okay, that's one method, and the other method is for go back to the previous page. For that, I'm going to name this method pop async. Let's implement this interface in a class called navigation service. What this class needs is two fields. So one field is for the object, which will actually perform the navigation. In our case, this will be the property of the navigation page called navigation. So navigation.navigation, we can see this is iNavigation object, which actually performs navigation. So that's the one field I need to add, and I'm going to add it as a function which resolves iNavigation. The second field we need is an instance of iComponentContext. This is a class provided by Autofac to automatically resolve new classes. Navigation service will need something like this in order to create a new view and new view model, and then it can navigate to that new view. I'm going to create a constructor for this. Take both these fields. The reason I have this func iNavigation here instead of plain iNavigation is that because at the time of registering interfaces and classes, our navigation page is not yet available, and I need to wait to provide this iNavigation. If we go back to the app.xaml.ces, you are going to see the change I have made in order to register the iNavigation. So first change is navigation page is null, and now I need to register type navigation service. This func iNavigation navigation func just returns navigation page dot navigation, and I inject that as a navigation parameter to the navigation func. At this point in time, navigation page is still null, and attempting to provide navigation page.navigation to here will result in an app crash. That's why I need a way to provide lazy loading. After we build the container, navigation page is initialized and it's set for the main page of our app. Okay, back to the navigation service. First, we are going to implement pop async. This is fairly simple. I'm just going to retrieve my navigation object and perform pop async. I need to await this and set this method as async. Okay, push async is next. And the first thing we need is to actually transform this view model type to the view type we are going to navigate to. In this case, I'm just going to use a simple dictionary which will map these two things together. So for history view model, resolve that to the history view. The first step is to retrieve the page type from that dictionary. So this page map retrieve by key of type of the view model. Next, let's resolve this page using our container. So resolve the actual page type as page. So what will this line do is to use our container provided by AutoFac to create a new instance of page. In our case, this will be history view. The next step is to actually navigate to that page. I'm missing async here as well. So push async. And once we are on our page, we can use that page to retrieve binding context. In our case, this is a type of base view model, and then we can initialize our view model with passed parameter. Once we have our navigation service, it's actually easy to perform navigation from the calculator view model. So I initialize it with a parameter of iNavigation service, and then in my show history command, I call navigation service dot push async history view model. And in app, this looks just like this. So this still works, but what we want to do is to pass the parameters from the history view model.